Hey, 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 hey. Hopefully, we're coming live through YouTube, and I see some people already in the live chat, so hi and welcome. My name is Heather, and I am the host of Sunshine and Power Cuts. And this week, I'm bringing to you a week of live streams celebrating connections. We've been going live for the last 7 days, so today is day 8. I have had 10 other amazing guests, and today I am super grateful to be joined by Bandrew Scott for this finale. A huge thank you to everyone who's participated this week for your time to join me live, and for everyone who's come by the live chat. It's been amazing. To my guests and best podcast friends, and thank you to my friends who have let me use their place this week to be able to do the live streams from. It wouldn't have been possible without all of you, and it's been a lot of fun celebrating with you. Everyone's got this kind of wonderful gift of creativity and ability to make connections, and they're really passionate about what they do. So it's been awesome having that connection with them and being able to share that with all of you. My aim for Sunshine and Power Cuts is to kind of shine bright and light up the world by inspiring and empowering people to reconnect with nature and the world around them. And so celebrating connections is part of that. The Sunshine Summit has been one to mark the first anniversary of Sunshine and Power Cuts, because I launched it back in March 2017. And we're also just past the 6-month podversary for the podcast. So it's been a lot of fun podcasting, and I'm really loving that journey. If you've come by the live chat this week and seen some of the other streams, let us know in the comments what your highlights from the week have been. And just a quick recap, we launched the Sunshine Summit with Elisa Lucas from Best Forevers, a podcast for kindred spirits. Then we had Stephen Bandrew and Stargate Pioneer from Better Podcasting. We had Paul Chomo from Varmints Podcast and Chris Carlson from the Podcasting Couch. Then we had Adam Higgins from Odd Dad Out and Perry and Lindsay Johnson from Hololife WTF and The Pod Stuff. Then we had my friend Gillian Holder from gillianholder.com, and she was in Sunshine episode 13. And Emily Prokop from the Story Behind podcast and ePodcast Productions. And her biggest connection was Nick Haskins, and he joined us the next day from Epic Film Guys and the Restaurant podcast. Yesterday, we had Gareth Thomas and his wife Bex from Gareth's Random Ramblings. And today, like I said, I am really grateful to be joined by Bandrew Scott from Bandrew Says podcast, Geeks Rising website, and Podcastage YouTube channel. It's been a lot of fun. It's a pretty special day. It's been a massive week. 11 live streams is kind of crazy. But yeah, I am honored to be closing out this event with Bandrew, because he's one of the first connections that I made in podcasting, and he's led me to some of these other amazing connections that I made and some of the guests that were part of it. So Bandrew is someone who works hard and tries to master whatever it is that he attempts, whether it be playing music, producing high quality YouTube videos, audio gear reviews, and his podcast, and his content inspires me every week. As his community is built up around him, he does an incredible job of managing all of those facets of managing a job and the high-profile YouTube channel, which I want to celebrate today because that hit 10 million views and 60,000 subs on YouTube. And he's got an awesome Discord server where his community can hang out. So there's a saying that it takes all sorts to make a world. And I think that Bandrew has definitely come across a lot of interesting characters in his time. But at the end of the day, he upholds his integrity, and that's one of the things I most admire. So without further ado, I bring to you Bandrew Scott.
Hey, Heather.
Hey.
So I just wanted to give you this to celebrate.
Yay!
Hip, hip, hooray. So congratulations on 11 successful live streams. I made, I think, 9 of them. I'm sorry to the few that I missed. I apologize.
Thank you
for
being.
You did such an amazing job. It has been so impressive to see you take on the task of doing 11 live streams in a week. Like I think I've done 4 over 3 years, and you just come out and do 11 in a 1 week. I don't get how you did it, and you did them all so well. You were well prepared. You had great conversations with everybody. You had amazing guests. It was just amazing to see. You've really come a long way in the last year and 6 months of podcasting. I am proud of you.
Thank you.
You're doing good.
Thank you. Yeah, so just to tie it in, when I was looking to start my podcast, I wanted to obviously find a mic to be able to record it with, and that's how I found you, was through the Podcasted YouTube channel.
Yeah, the Q2U. I'm a big fan of that one.
Yeah.
And at the time, I hadn't done any comparisons of that mic with other handheld dynamic USB XLR microphones. But then I eventually did a USB dynamic mic comparison shootout thing, and that one came out on top. So
Yeah,
heck yeah, you got a winner there.
I did, and it's been awesome. And I've really appreciated watching all the other ones and learning from all the people in the Discord server because there's a lot of really helpful people there.
Yeah, the Discord server, I didn't know what to expect when I launched that. I was just, oh, it's gonna die in a couple of weeks. Nobody's gonna join. And it's turned into this amazing thing where everybody's super willing to have conversations with one another, share their expertise, talk through what they're working on, ask advice, offer advice. It's just an amazing resource now that I'll admit I spend way too much time there.
Yeah,
I'm just on it way too much.
I hear you.
When I do a voice chat, I'm like, okay, I'll just do like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it turns into 10 hours sometimes. Like, oh, well, there it goes my entire Saturday, but it's totally worth it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And going back to Podcastage, from there you suggested that I go check out some other resources as well, which is really awesome. So you suggested Better Podcasting, which is how I met Stephen John Drew and Stargate Pioneer. And when I turned up to that first live recording of Better Podcasting, there was Emily Prokop in the live chat. And so it's been a lot of fun hanging out with them.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to stumble across Better Podcasting because SP, the illustrious, the famous, the notorious SP Stargate Pioneer, contacted me because he said I made some microphone porn, and I ended up guesting on their podcast. And I love those guys; they're amazing. They make such good podcasts, and they share so much useful information for everybody. And then Emily, my God.
She's
I could say too many nice things. Everybody has just amazing things to say about Emily, and it's all true.
Yeah.
It is all true.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. She's amazing. Yeah. We've SP said, hey guys, if you're watching, give this video a big thumbs up. That'd be awesome. But it's nice to see you all there. We have a lot of stuff in common too, which is kind of funny. And it's been funny working that out and how very similar they are. But
yeah, it's when we were all in voice chat one night, and then I think the voice chat went to retro gaming, and then I think Hugo's House of Horrors got brought up somehow, and then we realized that when we were growing up, we were super into it, and then we went and found a website that allowed you to play it online. And we weren't like streaming our monitors to one another, but we each had the game up, and we were walking through everything at the same time and commentating it back and forth, and it was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
It was a lot of fun till we worked out not to get the matches wet, and then it was like, dang it, we've got to start this all over again.
After 2 hours, it's like, oh well, we screwed up about 5 minutes in. Yeah. We're not doing this all over again. But
no, but it was I mean,
it's expected that we would have so much in common because we're just a couple of 50-year-old folks just drinking root beer floats from the soda jerk and walking with canes and stuff.
My God, I feel fantastic for 50. And we aged rapidly and well, and so that's good. Life goals.
Exactly.
Thank you anyway for letting me join you on this journey, because I mean, you've got a huge community and I'm one person out of that community. But yeah, I see the value in all that you do, and you are inspiring, like I said at the beginning. So it's been incredible.
I very much appreciate that, and I'm glad you're along for the journey. You are, as cheesy as it sounds, gosh, I'm gonna have to say something mean to you after this, but you're a ray of sunshine. Gosh dang it, you jerk! There you go.
Too nice. Too nice.
Let's move on. Gotta say something mean.
Yeah. So we talked about different things, but one of my favorite things about your podcast is the Ask Bandrew segment. And if anyone listens to that, they know that I send in lots of questions because every other one has questions from me in it, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that engagement, being able to ask you questions and have you think about them, no matter how hard they are.
That's my favorite part of the podcast too. It's because reading the news can get very monotonous. So it's nice to break up that monotony. And then also it's nice to interact with people who listen to the podcast or don't. I don't care. If you don't listen to the podcast, send in questions anyways. I'll
Yeah.
answer them. You won't hear them, but I'll answer them.
Well, if you ask them, then come along and listen to see what the answer is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or
But
not.
yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Whatever.
I'm not your boss.
The other thing though, celebrating, like I mentioned, you've had 10 million views and 60,000 subs on YouTube. Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't have it near me, but I got so excited when after I think 4 or 5 months of YouTubing, I hit 100 subs. So I got a Fisher Space Pen engraved with Podcastage 100 because I was like, oh, this is the highest I'm ever gonna get. This is amazing. So I never expected it. I'm just shocked every single day when I see that and see people watching and leaving comments and stuff. It's not expected and very, very much appreciated. So I
Yeah, well,
appreciate
I think
watching it.
people can see that the consistency and the value that you provide too, so that's why they're all there and still there and watching.
Thanks.
Yeah. Discord has gone past its 6-month anniversary too, so that's been around for a little while now.
Whoa, I did not realize that. Yeah, the Discord, it just flies by. It's
Yeah.
just every single day. It's honestly the first thing I check after my emails. I open up Discord and then I just see, oh, 300 messages. Well, I'm not going to read that. But if I'm actually in there, then I'll read everything almost.
Yeah.
It's a blast in 6 months. My God, I had no idea.
There are so many conversations that happen in there. A lot of them focus around pizza.
Yeah, pizza's a recurring theme in almost everything that I do, and I don't know why. I think I may order a pizza tomorrow.
I'm actually gonna have pizza after this.
Oh. Well, then maybe I'll order a pizza after this, and it'll be a celebratory pie.
Yum. But also there is heaps of cool conversations about tech, and everyone's really helpful. And then there's like the off-topic channel and everything, and even the promotion one is quite cool because people can share what they're making, and there are some incredibly talented people in there, and it's been a privilege to meet other amazing content creators or just people who play like or music or on YouTube or anything. It's just a really great amalgamation of all sorts of different people.
Yeah, it's amazing the breadth or the amount of topics that are covered in the Discord server. Because I was just thinking, oh, it's going to be a bunch of microphone audiophile nerds like me, but it's people. Somebody going to school for math, Vixie.
Mhm.
I maybe I just doxed him, but Vixie. We got animators, we got 3D designers, we got all sorts of nerds, and it's amazing. It's a very welcoming place. We've only had a couple people who have caused problems, but for the most part, it's a very welcoming place. It's a lot of fun, and that's a rare thing on the internet. So I don't know how it happened, but I'm happy about it.
Yeah. I think though that it's like anything, you kind of what you put across and people are drawn to that, and then I mean you can find people from all sorts of walks of life because we all might at one point be looking for a microphone to do something with, and then we've got some hi Bandrews. And do people at your work know about your podcast, or are you a secret celeb hiding in the midst?
Well, first off, I'm not a celeb, but I think there's one person at my work that knows that I do stuff on YouTube. I don't think they know what it is. I don't think they care either. So I just go to work, keep my head down, do my job to the best of my ability, then come home and do the YouTube thing.
Yeah.
It's two separate lives. I'm like Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent or something. Any superhero or supervillain for that fact. Heck, I could be a supervillain. Who knows?
Not too many people know that what I'm doing as well. And for anyone who doesn't know me and you're turned up just to see Bandrew, welcome. But I have a podcast, and Nick has just let the cat out of the bag. Thanks, Nick. It is my birthday today.
Yay!
Yeah. So I thought that would be a fun thing to do, a fun way to celebrate. Maria, we're live streaming because I've done a week of live streams for the week celebrating connections, and I have a connection with Bandrew, so he's helping me close out the event today with a live stream.
The celebration.
The celebration. Thanks for the birthday wishes, everybody. My sister made the cake in the background, and it is modeled off the Portal cake because Portal's one of my favorite games, and I really like it. So, yay!
And there's the little portal underneath the cake,
Yeah,
which
there
is
is.
just amazing.
Yeah. She was going to do one with an orange portal and a blue portal with a fork in one and up the other side, but I wanted it to look like that one, so I'm very grateful that she made it for me.
It looks amazing.
Sorry, just reading the chat and got lost. Yes, so if you want to talk about some of the connections, like you asked, why do I think connections are important? Maybe I should start there. And I think it's important because it's fun to share it with someone. It's fun to have interaction with somebody else.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I'm kind of a loner for the most part. In my real life, I don't really like interacting with people. So online, I've made some connections, and it's been really nice to share that. A lot of the people that I do know don't care about YouTube. They don't care about podcasting. They don't care about any of that. So I don't really talk to them about it. So online, I've been able to find this community that's allowed me to just I don't know the words to describe it. Just share it with somebody and experience it with somebody else rather than just sitting here in my room setting off little poppers for myself as I wear a sad hat and cry like a sad clown, which is what it was before I started interacting with people. And yeah, I think connections are very important. And as far as the connections I've made, I still am pretty much a loner. I feel kind of like an outcast in most of the mediums that I'm on. I don't participate in any podcast groups really. I don't participate in any YouTube groups, and that's partially because I'm paranoid and I don't want to sign up for any of these social media accounts that steal all your information, but I've been able to make a few. You're one of my favorite connections I've made. Again, at the end of this, I'm gonna swear you out because I got to say some mean stuff to you to offset all the kind things. But you, Stargate Pioneer, Stephen John Drew, my buddy, Beautiful OB. I actually met him at a comic book convention, and we hung out outside the panel rooms for an entire day where I wasn't working, he wasn't working. His girlfriend was the panel coordinator, and we hung out the entire day. At the time, I think I had 5,000 subs. He was sitting around 100. And now, God, he's been grinding away so hard, and I think he's about to hit 100,000 subs. He surpassed me, and he's rocking it.
That's
the
awesome.
Dude's killing it.
Yeah.
And then the microphone and audio review community on YouTube has seemed to be growing. There's Mike Delgadio, there's Podcast Mike, there's Low Nose Photo, there's Booth Junket. Just everybody is amazing over there. There's Gonna Geek Gear. I got to mention that to appease the Lord SP. But yeah, I've made a few connections, and then everybody in the Discord server, man.
Yeah.
Oh God, they're just amazing.
Yeah.
Those are like, because I don't have any friends in the city I live in because I don't like people. So the Discord server is like all the friends that I interact with regularly. So that's one of the most important connections that I've made.
Yeah. I think that you've had, like, just putting out the content that you do has people have found that and found it helpful, obviously, with 60,000 subs and 10 million views, right? So you might not have connected with them personally, but there is a lot of people connecting with the content that you make. And the other side of that is you set up the YouTube channel in the first place to be able to help people, right?
Yeah, that's My first YouTube channel I started October 2005, I think it was. It was in the first million or first 100,000 subs, or not subs, channels, because they had that was your username. It was the number channel you had. I think it was in the first 100,000 or million, something like that. And I uploaded for a while, but I never stopped watching. Like I stopped making videos for a while, but I always watched it because it's such a useful tool. And I just realized that there was some information missing
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to give back to the community. God, this is so lame sounding. I wanted to
I'm
give back
sorry,
to the
shit.
community. No, I'm just being negative. It's what I do. I wanted to give back to the community that I gained so much from.
Yeah.
I
And we
know it
have.
sounds cheesy.
And there's people who've been following you for a while now, like Anthony from the Off Center Archers podcast. I know he's been around for a couple of years, so yeah,
Yeah.
they're good connections there. How have connections helped us along the way? And it doesn't have to be with podcasting, or it could be with podcasting, but in general. And some of them for me is like I didn't know where to start with finding a microphone, and there was a bit of I went through a training bundle before I started, and everyone kind of in the group that I was in was like, "Let's go and buy a Blue Yeti," and I'm like, "I'm gonna do some other homework first." And I
Right.
did, and then I found Podcastage. But for me, it's been like being able to learn from other people because everyone's got different experiences, and you've been doing it for a while. SP and SJ have been doing it for a long time, and
Mhm.
learning from them and for specific help, for tips and tricks that they put out in their podcast each week, to get off feedback on the stuff that I'm creating. Because if you just put stuff out there and sort of don't ask for feedback or something, how do you know what you're doing is what people want or is effective? So that's another one.
Right. Yeah, so one of the most important connections for me was Logan, the host of the Paper Robots podcast, because earlier I mentioned just for a couple of months I wasn't getting any subs, any views, anything. And I was just buying all these microphones and I was like, this is such a dumb idea. Nobody likes it. Nobody's watching, nobody's subscribing, nobody's interacting. I'm wasting my money. And I would just complain to him. I'd be like, this is so stupid. Why am I even doing this? Why don't I just podcast? He's like, man, just stick with it. Just stick with it. Quit being a baby. Just do it. So, Logan, if it wasn't for Logan, the host of the Paper Robots podcast, I would have quit. So, thank you, Logan. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Logan.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. And another thing about connecting, like you can build that rapport with your audience too. So the Discord is one of those things where you can get to know your audience a little bit better, and it's a good place to sort of get constructive feedback and all
Yeah.
sorts.
Comment sections are amazing
Yeah.
for that. Now, with comment sections, obviously there's going to be the typical vitriol that's on the internet, but what I've found is a lot of those haters, they may be approaching it in a really negative and hateful way that makes you feel like garbage. But if you read between the lines, there's usually some useful information in there where you could say, well, they said I'm stupid, fat, and a loser, but they also said, well, you didn't include this information, which is why you're a stupid fat loser. So reading in between the lines of even the haters, there's a lot of useful information there that I would almost consider a connection as well.
Yeah.
It may not be the most positive connection, but it still is a connection.
Yeah. You can learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Studio Geek 32 said, love your podcast, just made their first podcast. So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. We'll see you in 1 year on your 1 year anniversary. And are you doing weekly, bi-weekly, 52, or maybe even 104 episodes in 1 year, Studio Geek? Congratulations on the launch.
Yeah. Elisa from Best Forever said she had someone take a photo of hers and create a meme out of it on another podcast, which is just awful. And it was used negatively, but she was able to connect with them and get it taken down, which is a good thing. But that's, one of the challenges with online content is people think that they can take it and use it when it's not theirs to take.
That is the internet.
Mm-hmm.
That is the internet.
Yeah. But yeah, then sometimes you can make really good connections and become friends and be able to celebrate them with them like this. So
yeah. I just want to reiterate how amazing the entire week of live streams has been. And if anybody in the live chat or watching this hasn't seen the last week of live streams, I think they are on demand. Is that correct, Heather?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So you guys should all go back and watch all 10 other ones besides me, because I'm just gonna ramble and be a dope. There's value in the other ones.
We got a question about what's the best color microphone windscreen for a Sunshine Summit live stream. We had pink, Lindsay Johnson from Hello Life WTF and the pod staff. She has a pink foam windscreen thing. I like black. I don't know if there are yellow ones, but I think that would be a bit much. But yeah, I like it when people bring a bit of character to their studio setup. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for making connections?
Oh man,
I hard questions.
I may be the worst person to ask because, as I've mentioned, I'm not a big fan of interacting with people, and here's the issue I have. I've tried to join a couple years ago. I tried to join some communities around. I'm not going to say what communities. I tried to join communities focusing around stuff that I was interested in, and even introducing yourself, it just wasn't welcoming. It was such a negative and I guess, for lack of a better word, unwelcoming community. So I think it's I don't know. I think maybe finding a really small niche. Don't just jump into, if you're launching a podcast, don't go to the biggest podcast community and jump in and say, "Hey everybody, let's be friends. Come be a guest on my podcast." Maybe don't start out there. Jump into a smaller podcast group, or maybe if you're doing a podcast on off the grid living, you could find a small subset of communities around that and join that to discuss and make connections that way. That way you're not one of the 30,000 people trying to leverage the community to make connections.
Or
If you're one,
or vie for attention, which is kind of what happens.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're one of 100, that's going to be a lot easier to stand out and actually interact with somebody. If you're one of 30,000, it's going to be impossible because everybody wants everybody's attention. So
yeah. Nick said to find other podcasts in your niche, and it's the best thing you can do. And the other thing that I have is, if you enjoy something and you want to connect with maybe one of the content creators that you enjoy, it starts by supporting what they do and maybe reaching out to them or just sharing their stuff. I mean, everyone likes it when you share their things or leave them a good comment, constructive feedback, something. It's not hard. It just, yeah.
I'm going to add on that. So, like I've said, the internet is a vitriolic place. It's full of hatred. It's full of monsters. So if you do come across a content creator that you like, just leave a nice comment. It may make their day and they may say, "Hey, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you." And that may lead to them reaching out to you. Or if you do that frequently enough, they may start to recognize your name. And then if you ever do reach out to them, they'll be like, "Oh, that's Dopeness Monster. I know Dopeness Monster. He's in the Discord all the time interacting. I'd love to work with him." So it's becoming known, and also you are adding positivity rather than negativity on the internet, which is really, really nice. So for instance, I went into, oh gosh, I can't remember this guy's channel, but the Tone King, I think that's his YouTube channel. He reviews a bunch of guitar amps, and he was doing a live stream testing out a bunch of new amps. And I just jumped in and I said, "Hey, I just want you to know I appreciate everything that you do. You're making great content." And he's like, "Wow, that was so nice to hear, because most people just come in and say, 'Hey, check out my YouTube channel,' or 'You suck.'" So it made his stream, and I'm sure if I did that enough, I'd be able to reach out to him and say, "Hey, let's collaborate."
Yeah.
So that's something I would add.
Yeah, it's also not about harassing the person that you're trying to contact either, because I mean, it's not a free for all. Like, people have lives and they have jobs possibly, and they have all of these other things that they're doing. But yeah, if you have something of value to offer, or if you just want to support their stuff and share it with a friend, tweet about it, retweet something, that all helps.
Yeah. Absolutely. Don't harass.
No.
Good advice there. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And SV said, "Wait, you mean I should follow them around with my drones?" No, that's not what I mean. Not at all. Yeah.
SP can follow me around with his drone any day.
Can he?
No.
No.
He would find it very boring.
Yeah.
He's still sitting on his couch watching X-Files. What is wrong with this guy?
One of the things about making connections to things if you're on the other side and connecting with your audience is to make sure that you remember that they're out there, because they are
Yeah.
out there and they're listening and supporting you. So if you wanted to share some of your things on that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, as you said, that's important. The one of the best ways that I've found to do that is through just reading the comments, or if you're making a podcast or a video, you could just go ahead and say, "Hey, what are you interested in knowing? What did I forget?" In the If you're making a video, it's super easy to say, "Hey, I'd love to know what you think about this." If you watch Philip DeFranco, he does that at the end of every single story. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. And his community is huge. He just has so many comments and so much feedback. So even if you do have 50 listeners, posing the question, not only will that open the door for interaction from your audience, but it will let them know that you actually care about them. And if you read what they say or actually interact with them, that may make them want to share your channel some more, share your podcast some more, because they'll be like, oh my God, Heather read my name on her podcast. Oh my God, check it out, check it out. And they'll be really excited about it and share it around. So not
Yeah.
only is it good for developing a community, but it's also, don't do it just for growth, but it does have that added benefit sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it might also help you if you're not sure what content to create. Why not just ask? And you can
Yeah.
post a poll on Twitter, or you could do it in the community function of YouTube. There's all sorts of options. Yeah.
Yeah, I've started utilizing the community feature on YouTube. I'm using it sparingly because I don't want to get spammy. But I posed a few questions about what's your biggest issue that you're having with your audio, or what microphones do you want to see compared, stuff like that, where I can directly look at the comments left and the thumbs up to thumbs down ratio and see what people are most interested in seeing or hearing, and that's going to directly impact what I do in the future. So that's a very good point.
Also, on the Geeks Rising website, you have where people can vote for what microphones they want you to review.
Yeah, that was just out of necessity because for the first year, I was just buying almost every single microphone that somebody would leave in a comment, as long as it wasn't like $150 or something. So that was out of necessity, but that's a really useful way to vet microphones, even though people have admitted, oh, thank God you reviewed that one. I voted that one up 75 times. Like, you scammed the system, you jerks. So even though people take advantage of it sometimes, it is a really useful tool. So audience feedback and just knowing what your audience wants is really important. So yeah, I think you brought up a really good point there about not forgetting that your relationship with your audience is probably the most important connection that you have. You
Yeah.
can't just say, I'm want a podcast because I want to be friends with Mark Maron. That doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not going to help you.
Yeah. And it is, though, because it's hard when you're on this side of it. You are possibly looking into a camera and or just into the microphone itself, and you can't see them. This week has been amazing being able to actually see and hear from people that I've connected with, and that doesn't happen all that often. But yeah, reaching out in other ways so that you know that they are there. And that's the other thing I like about Discord, is having a place where your community can come to and you can hang out on voice chat. They can actually talk to you, but also just share. It's a great place for sharing.
Yeah. And I just want to throw this in. It's unrelated, but I see a lot of people frequently get disappointed with their numbers, and they'll have 100 downloads on their podcast and say, I'm not reaching anybody. But I've heard this a few times over the last couple of years, and it's just 100 downloads may not seem like a lot, or 100 views on your YouTube video may not seem like a lot. But imagine you walk into a classroom every single time, or a hall, every single time that you're releasing a video or a podcast and there's 100 people there, you're going to, that's a lot of people. Talking to 100 people is not nothing. Talking to 50 people is not nothing. So I just wanted to throw that out there to anybody in the chat or anywhere that gets disappointed by seeing lower numbers, because heck, I still see low numbers.
Yeah. One of the main themes from this week was that a lot of people are introverts and kind of shy or nervous to put their content out there or to make connections in the first place. And I think some people said that it's kind of like they get a little bit of confidence when they go behind a mic. And yeah, I think for me, like this week of live streams has been out of my comfort zone. My podcast is an audio only one. I don't do Facebook lives. I'm not out there except the fact that I'm comment a lot in like Discord and stuff, so people kind of know me there. But yeah. So it's just pushing past that, because this year for me was about making connections because I really value them. I live in the countryside. I don't see a lot of people or talk to a lot of people all the time, and I kind of miss that social aspect of it. Plus, I also wanted the creative outlet, but on top of that, I just wanted to help inspire and empower people, because that helps me and it lifts me up. And if I can lift someone else up, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, Anthony just left a comment. I started my podcast for fun. The fact people listen, it all is kick butt. Yeah. That's the main reason anybody should start any of these ventures, unless you're a business. I'm not going to get into that.
No.
I don't care about that. If you're starting a podcast or a YouTube channel, it should just be passion and for fun, something you just really want to do, you feel like you need to do. So
yeah,
thank you for sharing that, Anthony.
Yeah. Anybody that listens or watches you is awesome. And
yeah.
Nick said he doesn't podcast for downloads at all. He podcasts to make connections with amazing people like me.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the right mentality to have. That's why I started the YouTube channel. Well, to give back to the community. I didn't think anybody would watch. I didn't do it to get popular. It's just something I wanted to do and give back. So it's not about starting anything to get popularity or be a cool kid or anything. It's just for the heck of it, for the fun.
And if you enjoy it, you're passionate about it, you're more than likely going to stick at it, because it can be a hard journey. There's time commitment, there's effort and energy you have to put into it. There's probably research. There's, you are giving a lot more to it than what you may think you get out of it. So you have to really be passionate about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nick said creating content is so much fun to me. Just love it. YouTube videos, live streams, podcasts, writing, you name it, he does it. He's kind of all over it. Yeah. I think there's all sorts of different ways to support someone too. Like there's a comment about YouTube channel and people and stuff, but sharing it and helping spread the word is probably one of the biggest things you can do to help support somebody. And then like sending questions to the Ask Bandrew segment or doing other good things like that. It's not necessarily, you don't ever have to necessarily have the monetary factor in there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the most beneficial thing is just sharing it with friends, because if you look back, what's the most frequent way that you find out about something? Most of the time it's by word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Your friend saying, "Oh my God, I found this new band. You got to check it out. Oh my God, I found this new true crime podcast. You got to check it out. Oh my God, I found Sunshine and Power Cuts. You got to check it out." It's all about word of mouth. That's the best way to go about supporting a creator, because sometimes creators don't necessarily feel like they need monetary support, or they don't want to complicate the relationship with their audience by introducing financial factors.
Yeah. But it's easy to share a link to a YouTube thing. It's easy to retweet something on Twitter. It's easy to like it. It's easy to leave a comment. And like we said, feedback and things are one of the most valuable things that we can get out of it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Now, I wasn't a huge Twitter user before I started the podcast, but I have found that it's incredibly amazing. It's easy. It's really easy to connect with people on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is hands down my favorite tool, because Facebook, garbage. Facebook is a garbage website. It's impossible to promote yourself because they're not going to share your content due to the algorithm unless you pay them money to distribute your content to the people who decided to follow your page. It's ridiculous. So Facebook is a garbage website. Twitter is the people who follow you and subscribe to you will actually see what you post. So I agree with who was it who said that? That was All Geeks Aside podcast. Yeah. Twitter is your friend.
Yeah. It is. It's a lot. It's fun and it's easy and it's quick and you can have that interaction back and forth. Whereas, yeah, it can take ages to find something on Facebook. And we're not here to bash Facebook really. It's just an possible tip or a trick. Yeah. But also, if you're looking to make connections, look to see where other people are that you are in the thing that you're interested in. So maybe that is on Facebook, or maybe it is on Twitter, or maybe it's on their website for whatever it is, or on YouTube, and find them, and then, yeah. Yep. I'm just reading the chat. It's quite funny.
Same here.
Yeah.
Apparently, the chat is about hating Facebook.
Okay, well, that's all good to them then.
Moving on.
There was actually something posted somewhere. I'm not sure where it was, but they're asking about what do you want to get out of your podcasting journey. And like we kind of said, for me, it's if I can inspire one person, that's awesome. But the fact that it is good for me and that I enjoy it is awesome. And there's things that I want to do now that I've kind of got started, and I want to grow a little bit. And this week of live streams has really helped that because it's built up my confidence. And I think that's one of the things that helps with when you're an introvert is taking action and finding a group of people who will support you. And maybe that is your family and friends, or maybe it is just a niche group of people that you connect with online somewhere who can help boost you along. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Does anybody in the chat have any questions for us that you might want to ask? Yeah, so Maria, this week of live streams was about connections. My show is kind of about connecting with nature and the world around you. And so I've made connections over the past year, and I wanted to celebrate those people because they mean a lot to me. They've helped me a lot. And so each day I've had different guests on, and today I've got Bandrew.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the recommendation, Maria. Very much appreciate that. Opinion on the butterfly effect. Oh, man. Ashton Kutcher, probably his best performance. Yeah, big time.
So one of the things that we like to talk about a lot in Discord is movies. And yesterday we sort of had a run through of the top movies of all time, was it? Best movies of all time? Yeah. And that was interesting. And some of them I hadn't seen. I haven't watched anything in a long time. This is kind of going back to our December live stream. Too busy working, haven't been watching anything, but that's my goal for tonight. I'm going to get pizza after this and go watch some movies and just relax a bit.
Do you know what, I know I asked you last night in the Discord, but have you scrolled through the Netflix queue to see what's available? Have you decided on anything? Or is it just going to be 100% winging it with a plate of pizza?
I'm pretty much going to wing it because I don't even know. I might fall asleep, so it doesn't matter what I watch. Okay, so this thing, I also got comments this week about people were nervous to meet me and stuff, and I really appreciate the people who were a little nervous who came on because it's a big thing putting yourself out there. And like I said, my confidence has grown this week, but I think if you push past that, you can achieve amazing things. Like I had an idea in my head of what this week was going to look like, but it has exceeded my expectations, and I'm really excited to try some new things going forward.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun seeing your confidence grow over the last week, and just seeing you interact with all these. I've discovered a bunch of people over the last week, and I'm going to subscribe to them and listen to them, and they're amazing.
Sorry.
And Nick he had to cook something that sounded amazing. Just his description and his excitement about what he was making. I was like, dang it, now I need to go to the grocery store, buy a freaking thing to cook on, and make this. So, Nick, thank you, but gosh darn you, now I got to go spend money.
Yeah, he made he got some brisket and ground it down and made a burger, which was Irish inspired, which was awesome. And he had potato buns or something,
Yeah.
which was awesome. And it was cool. Each person has shared stories and things that have been really valuable. So there is those if you want to go and see them. You might know them or not, and discover something new. And that's another thing that's come out of this week of connections, because there were new connections made and a lot of people supporting this event, and they've reached out to each other and now they've got connections and are going to go forward. So I just blow my mind. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. We've inspired all geeks aside.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anthony says he had to cook as soon as he got home at midnight because of that episode with Nick.
Yeah. I had to cook when I got home too, and my dinner took a really long time to cook, and when I was starving. And just for everyone who doesn't know, that cake is real. It is real, and it smells like chocolate, and it's really hard sitting here beside it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Stargate Pioneer asks, what's your favorite nature connection in the last year? Great question, SP.
A nature connection.
Yeah.
So I went. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was gonna just go ahead. Sorry.
We have this fun thing where we talk over the top of each other. Anyway, one of the great things that I did recently was I went out. There's some like walks that are out. The different ones, kind of like trails or tracks that you can walk and stuff. And some are short, some are really long. And I went out there, and it was just amazing to sort of be out in the middle of nowhere, walking along, hearing the bird song, getting a bit of air in your lungs, because uphill, down dale kind of thing. And yeah, I also there's been a lot of stress in life, and I've actually made a point of going out, and I had a friend come and visit the city near where I am, and we went out to this amazing conservatory which had all of these wonderful plants in it that I hadn't really seen before. And I just love looking at the different variegated leaf patterns, because variegated colors are a thing that I really enjoy. But there was also a coffee plant, so I got to see coffee, which I love coffee a lot, out in nature.
What is variegated? What is that? I don't know that word.
Multiple colors.
Okay.
So not just one colored leaf. It's kind of might have green around the outside and yellow in the middle, or stripy or something. So if you follow me on Instagram, I'll just do a plug for my Instagram. Why not? I've got pictures there, which you can see them all. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My favorite nature connection was, it may have been New Year's Day or Christmas Day. I can't remember, but I got up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, drove up to a mountain, and just hiked around for 2 or 3 hours. And since it was Christmas or New Year's, there was nobody else there, and it was just dead silent. And I just sat on this cliff for like an hour, and it was just, I was looking over this valley, and it was just gorgeous and dead silent. And I think it was like 0 degrees Celsius. It was beautiful, amazing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the mountains.
Yeah. I luckily live like in a valley, so I can look out at the mountains, and then I'm sort of up elevated a little bit, and it's awesome. And there's a river that goes past, and then it's actually in New Zealand, there's you can drive not too far and you'll be at the beach. So we've kind of got all of the different aspects of nature. It's awesome. Yeah.
Maria just says, I just brushed my teeth. Now I want to eat something. And people may be thinking, well, Bandrew, why did you point that out? Well, it's a recurring theme that dental hygiene at one point or another gets brought up on nearly every live stream. So I just wanted to point that out and say, keep up the good dental hygiene. It is very important. Keep those chompers healthy.
Yeah, we definitely promote good dental hygiene. So look after your teeth.
I didn't do that as a kid.
Yeah. The Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights, we have Southern Lights here too. They're amazing. And I went to Canada back in 2005, and that was one of my favorite nature connections there. Plus, also it snowed, and that was kind of a novelty for me. But yeah, watching the northern lights is really pretty, and I own a telescope, and I love looking at the night sky.
So where you're at, is it pretty good in terms of light pollution?
It's dark because
Okay.
I don't live near a city or anything, so it's awesome.
That's super nice.
Yeah. Some people are not a fan of dentists.
I think it's
And
statistics that are
yeah.
not fans of dentists.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny. SP asked, what are some of the connection lessons learned that you found interesting from the past week of streams? So for me, because I've interviewed everybody, I think that it's about people finding their place where they wanna be. So it's if you find a group of people that you are comfortable with, like, you can make your own community and then build relationships there. The other thing was about connecting with each other because there's husband, wife, and wife teams who podcast together or friends who do it, and they've made that date to talk to each other and develop their communication skills with each other, which I found really valuable. And then there's Elisa Lucas from Best Rivers, and she researches connections with people because that's what she is a professor in or assistant professor in. And she's sharing that with her students as well as all of us who listen to the podcast, her learnings from that. And I found that amazing. Her podcast is definitely one to listen to. Connections with Animals, the Varmints podcast. I love learning about different animals each time and kind of remembering that there is a world out there because lots of things we can be online or digital all the time and wired and connected. And, there are animals out there that are kind of amazing and you might not know about them or you might think you do, but learn something totally new. Also, there was Nick, who is so passionate about food, and food isn't, we got to eat, right? So,
Yeah. Might as well enjoy it.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. How about you?
Ah, man. I don't know if I'm gonna go out and make any more connections because of it, but I kind of lived vicariously through you, seeing all these connections that you've made within 1 year, which is just mind-boggling. You have enough connections to get 11 people to say, yeah, I would love to do a live stream with you. Where if I threw out a dart at everybody I knew, I might get one or two responses
That's
from you and SP and SJ.
Mhm.
But but I think it's very inspirational to see the amount of connections you've been able to make and the amount of impact you've been able to have in such a short amount of time. It's really inspirational. So
Thank
that's what
you.
I've got out of seeing the last week of live streams.
I'm really grateful that those people said yes. Yeah, they're amazing people, and there are lots of amazing people out there, and that's what I said, like, about being part of some things or just sharing an interest with someone, you learn about them and you wanna support what they do, so, yeah, Elisa from Best Rivers has asked, "Where do you see yourself in terms of podcasting in the next year?"
I'll go ahead and start on this one. Doing the exact same thing. hopefully, hopefully, the audience grows a little bit. It's not the most important thing, but the reason I say that, I want to be able to give terrible advice to as many people as possible. And sometimes that means you need a larger audience, and I want to give terrible relationship advice. And but other than that, pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Talking about tech. What about you, Heather?
So part of this thing is also was to help make connections for the people who are involved. So a lot of people have discovered things that they might not have discovered before. But for me myself, I want to get to my first anniversary with the podcast, which is in August. And like I said earlier, I want to make more connections. So that means like I want to keep making the content that I'm making, but I want to improve it and make it even better and more valuable. Um, mm, I want to host another one of these Sunshine Summits and to celebrate my first anniversary with a different theme. And yeah, I want to sort of learn as much as I can. I want to connect with information and learn as much as I can over the next year.
if I wanted to connect better with nature, what's the best way to record nature's audio? I'm going to go ahead and say, go ahead and get some kind of either, no, I'm going to go ahead and say a stereo microphone pattern. You could do an XY, 90-degree XY. It'll give you kind of a narrow stereo field. You could go wider. You could do 120, 180. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a Foley artist or anything like that. I don't go outdoors to record audio.
So I can put a connection there. If anyone is interested in listening to birdsong, for example, there's a really awesome podcast called the Casual Birder Podcast, which is hosted by Susie Buttress, and she's in the UK, and she talks about what she uses to record the birdsong, and it's amazing. She includes
Okay.
clips of the birds, and then she talks about what they are, and it's just the ones that come into her garden, and plus when she's traveled around. So I think I can't quite remember off the top of my head what mic it is, but if we go and check that out, we'll be able to discover what it is. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so somebody said 3D audio. Maria said 3D audio. Binaural microphones may be a good option. That's where you have in-ear, or I guess it just would be two microphones that are omnidirectional, set at the same distance as your ears. So it as closely recreates what you actually hear in person on the recording, and it's really, really a cool effect.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out the Casual Birder.
Yeah, Casual
Right?
Birder podcast with Susie Buttress, and Chris Carlson said that sounds like an awesome guest. So I'm sure Susie will be pleased. Yeah, she's amazing too. She came by the first one and she couldn't find the YouTube chat, unfortunately, but then she worked it out for the next one. And I've made a connection with her because I listened to her podcast and I said, hey, my show is about nature and I don't necessarily record nature sounds, but I'm just kind of trying to help people remember that it's out there to go and experience it. But she then we sort of messaged back and forth, and she's going to be a guest on my show. Plus, I'm also going to talk to her about New Zealand birds, which I can't wait for. Yeah. 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 New Zealand birds, there's a lot of them. I think that's pretty much what New Zealand is famous for, really. We've got the kiwi and we've got all sorts of other birds, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So
You're
is the
welcome.
kiwi a pretty common bird there?
No.
No?
No. So people also then don't believe that they exist because they haven't seen them. But they're a nocturnal bird and they're small, and they're protected, I think, because, dogs and cats and stuff will get them. So, yeah, they're
Right.
flightless birds, and yeah.
Has the I know in Australia they have, I think, at least I think they have like a feral cat outbreak or something in Australia where there's just way too many and they kill way too many ground dwelling birds. Is that something that has happened in New Zealand as well, or is that just
They've got
Australia?
they've got issues with cats and things, so they've got protected areas with big like walls or like things to keep the animals out, and like conservation areas. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wait, the kiwi is a bird? Lol, had no idea. Yeah, it's a short flightless bird. It's pretty cool. Long beak. Yeah. What you've got kiwi fruit over there? Do you call them kiwis? Like
Mhm.
so we don't call them kiwis because that's weird. That's what we're called. Um, we specify them and call them kiwi fruit. They are
Okay.
yeah. It's okay. It's okay, Elisa. Yeah. Um, yeah. One of the things that I find too, like being an online creator thing, is that it can be overwhelming. Like social media can take up a lot of time, and creating the content can take up a lot of time. So for me, it's about remembering that I need to move and exercise, and it also helps just relieve stress. You can go out there and just feel, calm.
Yeah, so how do you how do you go about dictating how much time you allocate to social media or podcasting, how much time you allocate to work, and how much time you allocate to just yourself, like mental health?
So I'm not as good as that as you are, because I've heard that you mentioned you kind of allocate your time quite well. Um, whereas I am quite flexible, so I have a general idea of what I will do in the week, and things, but it's pretty flexible. So I just have to then remember to not get caught up in it too much. And there might be whatever my workload is, I might not be able to get out and do too much um, one day, but then at least make sure there is a day in the week that I do that. Um, the kiwi has a long beak, but anyway, yeah, I just just reading the comment and sort of the kiwis. Look them up, Google them. There you go. You'll see a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I live out in the countryside, so I go and, like, walk to the mailbox or something if it's even just something that small, or I hang my washing outside to dry. That's some time outside, but there's walks, like I said, not far from where I am, and making time to go and do those is a bit of a longer thing that I'll do, especially when I'm feeling really stressed out. Yeah.
So when you do that, do you just set your phone down, just completely unplug? Because that's something that I personally struggle with. I may say that I allocate my time well, where I'm like, I'm going to go watch a movie, but the entire time I'm sitting there replying on Twitter. I'm not fully allocated. I'm
Yeah.
still doing work, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the good thing about New Zealand is that there's not always great reception. So, for
Oh,
example, if
that's
I wanted
nice.
to go on those walks, no one can get me. So then you've got to be safe and let someone know you're going. But the flip side of that is I will probably will take my phone because I like capturing pictures of cool things when I'm out there, but I'm not on social media while I'm doing that. And
Okay.
I also don't take podcasts with me. I just listen to the world around me.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I listen to a lot, during the day and things, and I like music a lot, and music is something that helps when I can't go outside.
Mhm.
It's something that I can connect with, and it helps either motivate me or, um, relax me or whatever. So, yeah, I just when I do go out and do those kinds of things, I leave that all behind.
Yeah, I need to do that. That's why I really like driving, because that's one instance. Since we do have really good reception here in America, it's it's almost like people expect you to reply immediately to everything. So when I'm driving, uh, I love this feature on the new iPhone, the do not disturb mode when you're driving. And it's the one time where it seems like it's socially acceptable not to reply to a text within 30 seconds or not answer your phone, because you can say, I was driving. Do you want me to die? No, you don't want me to die. So I'm just gonna drive. I'm not gonna answer your text. So that's why I really like driving. That's the one time where I truly unplug, even though I'm still listening to podcasts.
Yeah, but you're not looking at a screen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for everybody else trying to run me off the road.
Well, it's good that you've got safe driving practices.
I drive like a granny who doesn't drive like a maniac, because there are a lot of grannies that drive nuts, and gramps that drive like crazy people.
Yeah. Um, One of the other things, like, for me, I can get overwhelmed because life is quite busy and full, and so I have to really keep an eye on myself to make sure that I'm not taking on too much, whether that be social media or whatever else. And it's sort of knowing what works for you and finding your boundaries, and whether you have to set a timer to remind you to get up, or you allocate that time, or on a certain day you're going to do certain things. For my podcast side of it, I will sort of script or journal out the episode earlier in the week, and then I will hit record, edit, and whatever, publish it all at the end of the week before it's due to go out. So that's
Mhm.
just my thing that I use for that.
Newsreel says put your phone in the boot and road trip.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, that is
The trunk
Aussie
of a car.
slang for the trunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Racing the
is
sorry.
what is my favorite podcast? Best for Hevers. Um, I would say one of the most consistent ones that I listen to would be either the Joe Rogan podcast, which somebody guessed a little earlier, probably because I mentioned the feral cat issue in Australia, which he talks about frequently. I also love Doug Loves Movies, the Monday Morning Podcast with Bill Burr. I really like the Vergecast as well. That's a good tech one. The Gonna Geek Show. I also like I love Better Podcasting. That's a great one. There's too many to list. I listen to probably 40 or 50 podcasts a week.
Yeah. So Adam Higgins, who was my guest earlier in the week, has about 60 to 65 that is on his
Oof.
regular schedule. So he works nights, so he can listen. He has a lot of time for listening, plus an hour commute each way. So it's amazing that he gets to listen to that many.
Yeah.
And that's not the thing for everyone, but then you can, whatever ones you like to, you can sort of bump to the top of the list, or you might have ones. Elisa Lucas, she has a schedule for the week and she puts it out what she's listening to on each day, and she just has a couple of them. And then she has suggestions Saturday, so her fans and friends or whatever can suggest them something to listen to on a Saturday, which is fun. Yeah.
Yeah, luckily at my job, I'm able to, for the majority of the day, listen to an AirPod. I don't have big cans like this at work. I just have a single ear plug in, so if somebody comes into my office, I can talk to them.
Yeah.
But I don't really talk to many people at work. I'm a one-man team.
Pretty much the same. Another thing we've got in common.
Yeah. So just podcasts all day, every day. And then audiobooks on the commute to and from work.
I love
Because for
audiobooks.
that's something that I'm finally getting into. Over the last couple of years, I've bought a lot of audiobooks and never listened to them because I was never caught up with my podcast backlog. So I was like, I have to listen all the time to get caught up. And then I finally got to the point where it's like, well, I'm not going to listen to a 33-hour podcast from Joe Rogan. So let's just delete all those. And now I've specifically said when I'm driving, I'm going to listen to audiobooks because that's where I'm getting more well vetted and more well sourced information that's more reliable. So I just use that for more education, while podcasts are more for fun.
Yeah. So everyone's going to have a different amount of time that they can allocate to podcast listening or whatever else. You don't have to listen to all the podcasts either. You can just share them with people who you think if the topic might interest someone else. You know,
Yeah.
there's only so many hours in a day, and there's whatever else that you're doing at the time. So, yeah. If anyone wants to share what their favorite podcasts are in the chat, that'd be good. I like hanging out with Better Podcasting and the Gonna Geek shows live because they do live recordings. And so maybe your
Yeah.
show does that and you can watch it live. The one thing I like about that is it makes me show up because I want to catch the live chat and hang out with people there. And then I make sure I've watched it and heard it at that time. And it's sometimes a little bit hard to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's another thing about scheduling it, really, because they have a time that they record.
Yeah, and that's one of I actually think those are the only 2 live podcasts that I actually watch. I'm subscribed to the Harmontown live thing, but I never watched that. I never watched the Joe Rogan podcast live. It's only the Better Podcasting and Gonna Geek show that I catch live. So they're doing something right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Best Forevers loves the Dollop. I love the Dollop too.
That's a great podcast.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah. And what I like about them is that they do tour and stuff because they came to New Zealand and I got to see them live, and that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I enjoyed it. There's this podcast called the Bandrew Says Podcast, and apparently that's all right.
Yeah, I don't trust them.
Yeah. Elisa also loves Nothing Rhymes with Murder, Varmints, Sunshine and Power Cuts. Thank you. Spoop Hour and the Ouija Boards. Ouija Boards? Is that how you say it?
The Ouija Broads?
Broads. Sorry, Broads, not boards.
Is that like a paranormal podcast? I'm guessing. On the note of paranormal stuff, there are a couple that I listen to, Bizarre States, and oh gosh, there's a I can't think of it right now. There's a UFO podcast.
There are podcasts on all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I want to mention here, and no one is sponsoring this event, just as a disclaimer, but there is a really great platform called Podknife, and you can go there and they've got all sorts of different ways of searching for podcasts that you might be interested in. And why I'm mentioning them is because they were really supportive of Sunshine and Power Cuts in the beginning when I first launched. They added my podcast to their directory. They are great at changing information if you need to change it. And it's just a really great way to discover things if you just want to look via some terms and you don't actually know the name of the podcast. And also then you can leave a rating and review there too, which is awesome.
That sounds like a useful tool. Podknife?
Podknife. And they feature podcasts as a podcast of the day kind of thing. Sunshine and Power Cuts has been featured, which is awesome. I was going to see if I could get them to come on and be part of this summit, but it didn't quite work out this time. So maybe they'll be keen for the next one. But yeah, they're great people. All Geeks Aside asked if it's Hysteria 51. Is that a
No, that's not it. It is the host is Alejandro Rojas. Oh gosh. Open Minds UFO Radio, I think is what it's called. I think that's what it's called.
The Ouija Broads focuses on weird stuff from the Pacific Northwest. That's what that podcast is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down, the Ouija Broads. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome that Podknife added you to All Geeks Aside. It's really great, isn't it? It's like you don't even have to do anything. They just add you to their directory. And it is a directory only. You can't listen to the podcasts there, but yeah. There is contact information, by the way, on my About thing on YouTube, and possibly the same for Bandrew if anyone wants to connect with us there.
Lo is here. How's it going, Lo?
Hey.
Loco's in the house.
Locals represent. That's another thing that I like too, is how supportive everyone has been. That you like generally I've found in who are other content creators, we've been pretty supportive of each other, which is awesome.
Yeah, I was surprised to find that, because the internet does get a bad rap, and I give it a bad rap as well. I call it nonsense quite a bit, but I've come across, and you're a part of this amazing community where it's not just you're doing well, so screw you. It's more you're doing well. That's awesome. Like, congratulations. Yeah. You're making amazing content. You should do well too. Let's promote this stuff. Let's get everybody to succeed, rather than only one person can succeed. Let's stomp out everybody else.
Yeah.
It's not that negative competition. It's more of a positive competition, an uplifting competition. So,
and when we all lift each other up, we can raise the bar and make even better content. I mean, I think that's what the internet needs.
Yeah, and then we could keep everybody else out and just stomp them down.
Sure.
That was sarcasm for everybody who didn't catch that. I'm sure that everybody got that.
Yeah, everyone can have a piece of the pie. So
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing too, is that we all have our own voice and our own way of sharing it. And that's what I've said throughout this week. Like, there are topics and there are lots of people, but we cover them all in a different way. And so it's really interesting hearing different people's perspectives on things.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everybody does have, they may be at a similar place. They may be on a similar journey, but the roads leading up to where they're at that point is always going to be different. And that's, most of the time, I couldn't care less where somebody's at. I want to hear the journey of how they got there, because that's where the interesting stuff happens.
Yeah.
So I'd agree with you. That's been fascinating to hear.
Yeah. Lono said, for sure, there's no reason why we can't help each other grow and better ourselves. By supporting each other, it only helps us reach new audiences. And 100%. I mean, that's pretty much what happened this week. So
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Maria, for coming by. And hi from New Zealand, or bye from New Zealand. Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that.
So, side note, completely unrelated to anything. What kind of pizza are you gonna have tonight?
Oh, the tough questions. um, I'm hungry. That's not a good question to ask.
I'm sorry. Food sounds disgusting. Food sounds disgusting. Just the worst.
Um, I might get a Hawaiian pizza, just something nice and simple. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna mute my microphone while I chew. That was a mistake.
It's 2:15 in the afternoon here, Elisa. So that's my time. And I'm on Saturday the 17th of March. So yeah. SP said he bought pie for Pie Day, which is March the 14th. And he bought an apple, cherry, pumpkin, peach, lemon meringue, and chocolate. Did you buy one of each then? Because if they were all in one pie, that's a lot of flavors. You should have said you bought pies, plural. Yeah. I would love for you to be on the Sunshine Summit Lonos. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is after this, I'm going to have a call for people who want to register their interest, who want to be on the next one. I already have an invitation out to some incredible people, and a lot of you are definitely one of them. One of each and 2 apple pies. Yum, pie. Do you like pie, Bandrew?
Yeah, I don't eat it much, but my grandma used to make the best pumpkin pie. Loved it. Pumpkin pie with a bunch of whipped cream. Amazing. Blasphemy here. Not a big fan of apple pie. I'm not. Just not.
Fair
But
enough.
pumpkin pie. Oh my God. Get out of town. The best.
Thank you for the happy St. Patrick's Day wishes. I like apple pie, but I won't hold it against you.
Okay. I appreciate that.
That just means I get to eat more.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Actually, I only had pumpkin pie when I went to Canada because pumpkin pie is not a huge thing where I'm or in the circles that I'm in. But yeah, it was amazing when I did get to try it.
Did you say you weren't a big fan of it?
I just didn't. No one made it. Like my family didn't make pumpkin pie because we don't really do the whole that time of the year when pumpkin pies are happening.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have this cake afterwards. I'm not cutting it up for this live stream, unfortunately. It's just sitting there looking pretty instead of my flowers that I've had all week and tempting me because it smells so good.
What kind of cake is it? Is it kind of a fancy cake or is it just mainly chocolate or?
It's a Black Forest cake. So,
What does that mean?
like
I don't eat cake much, so I don't know anything about it.
I'll ask my sister for the recipe.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to
Okay.
screw it up. It's kind of like a chocolate cake, really. Like a
Okay.
rich chocolate cake. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Have I got static, Bandrew?
Yeah, I think a little bit.
Do you mind taking over for just a minute and I'll be back in a sec?
Yeah, I can take over.
I don't think I can do that. Oh,
You gave me control once before. Yeah.
I'm scared if I drop it, but I will drop it and see what happens.
We'll see if it's still live.
Tech issues. I'll be back. Hang on a second.
All right.
I can't.
It won't let you?
Nope.
Okay. It's not terrible.
Yeah, it does. It will shut down the stream.
It's cleaned up now.
Oh, yay.
You just had to threaten it.
Yeah. I had a few issues like that. And I mean, it's a challenge sometimes, but I've been pretty lucky for this week doing that many live streams that I've been able to generally come across clear and stuff.
Yeah. It's been awesome because I know a couple months ago you were having that issue where after 5 minutes it would just get that digital interference, and over the last week I think it happened once. Is it?
Yeah. So that's because at my home I have a really slow connection to the internet.
Mm.
So this week I've got a better connection, but yeah. And it is a Google Hangout, so it's actually Google Hangouts that is being choppy, which is annoying.
Yeah.
We've had people had issues even connecting to it in the first place. But for me it was the easiest way, literally, to be able to do this event. So
I'm definitely not taking control, newsreel. Definitely not. So let's go ahead and go completely off script.
yeah.
For everybody watching, everything that we've said, all the questions in the chat, previously scripted, actors, you're welcome. Applause break, you're welcome. We did amazing. Aliens, do you believe in them or not? Extraterrestrials, I should say.
Hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
Down to the business of the episode.
We could always just rely on dental hygiene, but I just wanted
I'm
to
good.
diversify.
Yeah, I'm good. That's been hashed out too many times. Do I believe in them or not? Do you know what? I think that it could be a possibility. So there's such an expanse, to use that reference, out there. So who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's such a vast universe. It would seem like a shame if we were the only species. Well, we're not the only species even on Earth. What a dumb thing to say. If we were the only planet with life on it, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Intelligent life.
Yeah. Are you worried about it?
I was listening to a podcast earlier, and I've always heard the argument, oh, well, if they come, will it be peaceful? Will it be to wipe us out and steal our resources? But I actually heard the argument for why we haven't seen them is that maybe we have diseases that they're concerned about, or they have diseases that they don't want to pass on to us, like certain people in the Earth's history have ignored and wiped out entire races of people. So maybe that's why we don't see extraterrestrials come down.
Do you know what could be the other thing? They could be pretty much just like us, and they haven't worked out how to get this far yet. So
yeah,
you know?
Or they just came by and said, "Oh,
never
why would I
mind.
want to go there?" Exactly.
Yeah.
What about the zombie apocalypse? So I actually asked you the question before. Do you think the way that you live would assist in surviving during the podcast, during the apocalypse, the zombie apocalypse, or not?
I hope I can survive the podcast. That would be awesome. But yeah, so my answer to that was like, no, not really. I can survive a natural disaster perhaps, but the zombie apocalypse I'm not too sure about, because one of my favorite movies is Resident Evil. And I was thinking about that. I'm pretty resourceful, living off the grid and stuff, so I may be able to survive for a little bit, but then I wasn't sure what resources I'd have to be able to protect myself. So I don't know, but definitely I could survive a natural disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natural disaster, I'm done. I'm done if there's a natural disaster, but zombie apocalypse, I think I could flip the switch pretty quick and get into the mode, but I don't have any. Well, I do have some weapons, but nothing that you see in these films or these or these TV shows. I don't have any cool weapons. They're all really boring. I bought off of Think Geek a zombie killing machete, so it's gonna break the first time I kill a zombie with it. So you know what? Let me change my answer. I'm done in either case.
Yeah. New Zealand is Middle Earth, so aliens are given down there. Okay. Alexa said that she's dead within seconds. Do we think that there is a parallel universe?
So I saw that, and I have often thought that could be a possibility or an explanation for either ghosts or what people view as gods or extraterrestrials, because with extraterrestrials, it would be so difficult, given the science that we know of right now, to travel the vast distances between planets. But with interdimensional beings, that's a possibility of how they could be here. But I just don't really trust some abductees or experiencers or any of that. I think some of them lie. I think some of them do believe their experiences actually occurred. I think some of them actually believe it. And it could be a mental thing, could be night terrors, it could be sleep paralysis, it could be parallel dimensions, it could be one of many things. It's posited that Bigfoot is a pan-dimensional being.
That's interesting. And then also on the flip side of that, though, when something does happen, the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? And the only reference I can think of is like the Salem witch trials, like that, the hype that gets created, and then the build up that happens, and it's not real. Like there was stuff said, and then people got wound up about it, and then it spread. What's the word that I'm looking for?
Hysteria.
Hysteria. That's it. So I think there could be an element of that too. But interesting.
Yeah.
Elisa is afraid that her cats will turn into zombies and eat her face off.
Well, the thing is, the reason why I like... Never mind. I'm not going to go there. Never mind.
Yeah. And yes, I am a Resident Evil fan. Lonos wants to be part of the conversation. Which would have been awesome.
A parallel universe is the only explanation for anyone that does more than 2 hobby podcasts per week. Or that podcaster has the little necklace of Hermione Granger that allows her to be in 2 places at once. I don't remember what it's called. A little thing. Oh, spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, how did she learn all that? She wouldn't have been able to learn all that stuff and be in all those places.
Yeah, not possible.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, SP does quite a few podcasts. So
yeah. Time Turner. There it is. Thank you, SP. And is it Alyssa? From the best for Elisa from the Best Forevers. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite movie on either the paranormal or parallel universes or anything like that, Bandrew?
Parallel universes. I don't know if this qualifies because it's not necessarily parallel universes.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most impactful films of my childhood was Event Horizon. That movie messed me up. My God. It was just the perfect culmination of science fiction and horror. When I first saw it, it just hit everything that I wanted in a film. And oh my God, it was just spooks me out to this day. And the graphics may not be amazing, but it definitely story-wise holds up for me and still has a good amount of spooks in it. What do you think about that for you? Favorite paranormal, favorite alien, UFO film?
So, Aliens and Aliens versus Predator. I enjoyed watching them. Yeah.
You are one of the first people that has also enjoyed the Alien vs. Predator film. I loved that one when I first saw it, and then everybody's like, "Oh, it kind of sucks." Like,
No,
are you crazy? This is fun.
Yeah. Way too much stuff in common, Bandrew. Way too much stuff. There's a comment. So this week has been a bit of a sad one because we lost Stephen Hawking. The world lost Stephen Hawking.
Yeah. He left quite the impact and the legacy behind. The guy's done so much amazing work, and he'll be missed.
Yeah.
But he's gonna live on through all his work.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes by him is here.
Up the punks.
Is that your one?
I don't think he ever said that.
Okay, good. So my one is when he said, "Remember to look up at the stars, not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious. And however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up." By Stephen Hawking. Yeah.
I gotta look up this quote. I just heard about this. Oh, I can't find it.
What are you looking at?
A quote from Stephen Hawking.
Okay.
So, okay, I found it, and this is the quote.
Mhm.
So, a little bit of backstory. He was rumored to run over the toes of people that he didn't like in his wheelchair. And in an interview, he said, "That's a malicious rumor. I'll run over anyone who repeats it." I was like, the guy's a legend. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
He had an amazing sense of humor. He did amazing work. He was an inspiration to everybody who has a heart. So yeah,
And
we lost a
despite
good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy. SP has a good little conspiracy theory there.
So conspiracy theories is something that you're interested in.
Yeah, very much so. I think, well, first off, I'll start by saying I think a lot of them are just rubbish.
Mhm.
I think a lot of them are nonsense, but I still enjoy researching them, regardless of how insane I think they are. Like there's the most recent one I heard about was, I think I heard about it on the H3H3 podcast, where there's so many mattress firms, which is a mattress store here in the US, that they have to be a front for some kind of illegal activities like the mafia, they're money laundering. So that's a fun one that I like recently. Anthony came in with the flat earth.
But it's not the flat earth, it's the cat earth.
Yeah. I like that one a lot better.
The cat earth. And Princess Diana. And Princess Diana, I mentioned before, that's one, that was important to me because I kind of looked up to her, and it was like at a prominent time in my life and stuff. So that was pretty sad.
Yeah. I remember when that happened. My mom was just watching the news crying. I was like, "Why are you so sad?"
Mm,
And she's like, "I watched this woman grow up."
yeah.
It's like a family member to a lot of people.
Yeah. Have you listened?
Have
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, have I listened to those conspiracy guys? I listened to a couple episodes, but they're just so long that they have some episodes that are 8 or 10 hours long. I just can't do it. Do you listen to any conspiracy podcasts?
But I like reading audiobooks. So
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. What have I got at the moment? I've got the Pentagon's Brain that I've got.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll warn. At times, it does get a little dry,
Yeah.
but all around, it's a fascinating story hearing about the history of DARPA.
I have a fictional book too, one on so it's not true, but it's about, is it the Project Paperclip? What's that one called?
Operation
Operation
Paperclip.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's really interesting as a fun fictional read.
There's a Annie Jacobson. I think she did. I don't know if she did the Pentagon's Brain.
Yeah, she did.
Okay. Well, the same author did one on Operation Paperclip. She has a nonfiction version of that.
Yeah, that's one
And
of
I
my
think
ones to read next.
that I'm gonna pick that one up soon also. I have way too many audiobooks.
Some of the other ones that I listen to that aren't on that sort of theme are ones that are a bit more inspirational. And so I've been reading Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown, and I've got other ones by people that I follow, like Carrie Green wrote a book, She Means Business, which is quite good for someone who's an entrepreneur like myself. And yeah, different.
Braving the Wilderness.
Braving the Wilderness. I think that's what it's
Interesting.
called.
Brene Brown.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Brene Brown is awesome. Best readers. Anthony had a book. Did he read the guide to, is it Astrophysics for People in a Hurry? Maybe he
The new Neil deGrasse Tyson book?
Yeah, I think he read that recently, which sounds real interesting. I haven't got around to reading that one yet. I do read real books as well as listen to Audible books. I used to have a lot of ebooks on my iPad, but yeah, I like listening and I like reading physical books.
Yeah, I do all three. I do mostly listening to audiobooks. I have a Kindle with way too many books on it. I don't think I could ever finish them. And then I have a bunch of actual physical books. One of them is the new Neil deGrasse Tyson book. One of them is A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. Never got around to reading it, but
yeah. Maybe there's still time.
Yeah, there's still time.
Yeah. I like if I could, I want to own like a library, and I want to have it like, Beauty and the Beast, the Disney one from way back in the day. I want one of those.
With the ladder that goes around the room.
Yeah.
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 Those rooms are always so impressive. Whenever I see a room like that, there's no way they read all that. There's no possible way. Is it a research library? Then maybe I understand, but they're not doing research. How could you read that much? I don't get it. Did they write a lot bigger back in the day?
I don't know.
That must be it. That must be it. The books were a lot shorter. They just wrote a lot bigger, so it took up more space.
I think it was just a collection thing as well. Like it would have been the bigger houses making a collection to look impressive to the people they had over, don't you think?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. Look how smart I am. Look how many books I haven't read. I've read so much fewer books than you.
Yeah.
The Beast had no contact with anyone except his furniture. Who was he trying to impress? That's a good point.
He was a prince before he got turned into a beast, so there you go.
Oh, okay.
He got turned into one because he rejected the old lady who came to his door. So that's the whole moral of the story. Being a nice person. Yeah.
Anthony shared a good quote from Stephen Hawking. The universe is, or maybe it was Neil deGrasse Tyson. The universe is under no responsibility to make sense to you. That's a good one.
Did he also say something along the lines of to go out and explore it, to make it, like, to discover what it does mean? Like that was his life goal, was to find out what it does mean?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but yeah.
And that quote was Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay. Yeah. I think what I like about Stephen Hawking was like to be curious, to be open to it, and to learn, to always be learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the best thing about Stephen Hawking was his sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. It is free to be kind. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. Does anyone have any questions for us that they want us to answer before we wrap it up soon? Anthony said he was a toe killer with that chair.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah. Malicious lie. I'll run over anybody who says different. So, I let me ask you a question to help wrap this whole thing up and to celebrate. Mm-hmm. What do you think after 11 live streams, what has changed from the first one to now? What have you learned? What will you do differently next time you do it? What are you coming out of this whole experience with?
It was a lot of fun. Like, it was really fun just having those connections and calls with people to be able to spend that time together for an hour or so each. And I learned a lot from setting up the tech behind it to feeling confident to talking and help. Like, I don't interview people. My podcast is a solo show. I've just had 2 guests in the lead up to this to sort of get a bit comfortable about talking to people. That
Right.
wasn't completely awkward. I think the other thing is that now that I've done it, I've sort of got over that hurdle. So hopefully I won't be so nervous before launching the next one because I've got this behind me now. But just that I love hearing from people and what stories they have and things, because I learn a lot more from other people. You know, I have my experiences, but it is a lot more fun and interesting to sort of share that with other people and hear from them. So there are a few things that I will do differently for next time. I'm not sure that I will have 2 live streams, one after the other, and if I do, they won't have 15 minutes between them because that was really hard to manage.
Yeah.
But we did it, but it was difficult when we had technical difficulties, and we still managed to run on nearly on the hour. Possibly another one is that I would encourage the people who are participating to share it with their audiences, because that was the whole point, was to pull the audiences from everybody else. It's not to grow my audience. This is just a way of having a conversation with people and celebrating with the people that follow each of us. And if connections are made from that, then that's awesome. But it was, yeah, I just helped promote it. I mean, Elisa did an amazing job, and also Adam Higgins from Odd Dad Out. He reviewed everybody who was part of the summit he was a guest, and he reviewed everybody else in his podcast and shared it all over social media and stuff, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And Elisa did the same thing, and she made up her own way to count down to the event, which I really appreciated. And she was celebrating with her audience as well. So she was celebrating friendships that she has when they were hanging out in the sunshine, because it was the Sunshine Summit. So
Right.
yeah. And yeah. But I want to do another one because I think that, like, a lot of people got a lot out of it. I got a lot out of it, and I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was amazing to see you accomplish this. Like I've said 1,000 times already. It was just so impressive. Your first go out at something like this, and you did 11 of them. It was just such an impressive feat, and you did such an amazing job. And every single episode, people could gain something out of it to improve their life, and it was just a great, great job. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. That means a lot.
So
Yeah. Oh, yay. One thing that I will say to people is, if they want to do it, like, don't have to think that you have to be someone big already to do it. You just have to take a step out there and try it. And so, like I said, I don't interview people for my podcast, so I didn't have that experience beforehand. But I've been a member of the Better Podcasting Community and watched them like record their episodes live. And so that helped me feel comfortable with how the process went. Then I also wanted to reach out to other people, and I have guested on a few shows this year. So that helped build my confidence too, having those experiences. And I mean, yeah, 11 live streams sounds like a lot, but I did a lot of planning. So I planned this back in January. I think that's when I might have sent you the message to see if you'd be keen. And
yeah, I saw that.
just worked on it over that time. I didn't put the pressure on myself to try and come up with an event in a short space of time. I put a bit of time into it to make sure I connected with everybody and sort of set up how I wanted it to. And I know this is just done through Google Hangouts, so it's nothing flash on the technical side of things, but that's what I was comfortable with, and it was just something to get going. So who knows, for the next one I might have OBS and I might be a bit more fancy or something, whatever. But the main thing is that I really appreciate everyone who's come by live today and to the other streams. And yeah, the rest of the videos are up on YouTube that you can watch at a later date.
Absolutely. And I highly suggest everybody check them out. There's a lot of great stuff there.
Thank you. Oh yeah, and the other thing is, though, don't if you don't feel like you can take on something like that, there is no pressure. It's just what I wanted to do. Like,
Right.
I haven't set the bar for anyone. This is not the standard thing to do. This is just the thing. And so like I said at the very beginning, it ties in with the first anniversary of Sunshine and Power Guts. I wanted just to do something a little bit special, and there was a lot of people that I connected with, so a whole week allowed me to be able to do that. And I really appreciate everyone who's given up their time to be here and share that with me and to celebrate my birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah. And there definitely will be pizza and movies. Pizza and Netflix. Sounds like a plan. Yeah.
Hawaiian pizza. Oh, God. Good choice.
Thank you. Yeah. So thank you to everybody who's come by. That was a lot of fun. And it is my birthday, yay. If you don't listen to the Bandrew Says podcast, you should definitely check it out. I love the fact, because I don't keep up to date with all the tech stuff, and I really enjoy being able to catch that in your podcast. Then there's also the Ask Bandrew segment, so you can send your questions in and get terrible life advice from Bandrew, who wants to share that with as many people as possible. And then if you want to see some awesome content on tech and gear reviews, check out the Podcastage YouTube channel, because there's an incredible resource there already. We all, like, Bandrew has the Podcastage Discord server. I have one also for Sunshine and Power Cuts. And what else was I going to say? I don't know.
Cake.
Can't wait to eat the cake. Yeah. Thanks. Happy birthday. Thank you.
Oh, it doesn't want to work. Okay. I see.
Cool. Alrighty, guys. We'll catch you later.
Bye, guys.
See ya. So here's the links to Bandrew's things. You can go to www.bandrewsays.com, www.geeksrising.com, or the Podcastage YouTube channel at YouTube. But definitely check that out. Thank you so much to everyone who's been involved in the Sunshine Summit 2018. It is apparently the first annual one. I will have one later in this year. And yeah, thank you so much for being here and for celebrating connections with me.